All right, look. Holy mackerel, we got a lot to do. And again, Sirianni, 8:40 today. I'm going to ask two simple questions to start the show. We'll take them one by one, but I want everyone to have a crack at it at 215-592-9494. The first is, how do you feel about Nick Sirianni's apology yesterday? Which, let's be real, we don't get many apologies in Philadelphia sports from a player or a coach. He literally apologized yesterday. So I want you to think about that and then be able to react how you feel. The second question we're going to get to is, how do you feel about our football team? I mean, that's like a whole nother wing of conversation. So the apology, how do you feel? The football team, how do you feel? What do you think? All of that, 215-592-9494. Now, before we go any further and comment ourselves with our specific opinions, let's actually just hear the apology because, it was pretty early in the press conference yesterday. It should have been to start the press conference yesterday, which I thought...
Amen.
Right, Rhea? That was a mistake by him.
You should have opened with it.
Yeah,
you open with it, you get ahead of it.
100%.
And it's on you. You're not waiting for someone to ask you
100%. I thought that immediately was a mistake. Immediately. But let's listen to what he said. It was part apology, part explanation. Here's Nick Sirianni yesterday, the key moment in the press conference.
Have you heard from Jeffrey Lurie at all about what happened yesterday, and what was his feedback?
No, Mr. Lurie and I talk every time after the game. Every time I haven't talked to him yet today. I know how supportive Mr. Lurie has been through everything. I would say this about that. What I was really doing, I was trying to bring energy yesterday, enthusiasm yesterday, and I'm sorry and disappointed on how my energy was directed at the end of the game. And my energy should be all in on coaching, motivating, right, and celebrating with our guys. And so, that's, and I got to have better wisdom and discernment of when to use that energy, and that wasn't the time.
Boy, this wisdom and discernment thing, he really keeps going back to it. All right, John, what's your, and again, everyone, 215-592-9494. I have a lot of thoughts, but I'm going to hold off for a second, wait for John. John, your reaction to what you just heard.
You have to have better wisdom. The concept of wisdom is it's an earned, built up concept that a coach creates over time, that he earns the respect and commands the respect eventually because he does good things on the field and otherwise where he earns it. You have to get to the anyway. You know what, like, it doesn't. There's a disconnect. There's a disconnect in so many ways. There's a disconnect for me personally, Joe. Like, I was thinking last night watching the halftime of Monday Night Football, Jason Kelce doing an awesome job. He said something at the end like, "This is an amazing game. I can't wait to see the second half." Something, just a throwaway comment like that. But I thought, it really is an amazing game, and I'm not enjoying this game because there's like a pall that has fallen over my feelings about football in general because of the way I feel about this team and this coach and that apology. Yesterday I went back and rewound. I watched the press conference.
I thought you were going to say the Eagles game. I thought I was going to say the Eagles game. I was going, holy hell.
No.
I don't know what's worse, watching the press conference and the Eagles game. All right, so that's interesting. Go ahead. That's interesting.
I went back and listened again at the start because I wasn't sure I caught the apology. I wasn't sure he had apologized. It was because it was sort of like a little bit late and a little bit short and a little bit convoluted, which I guess we've come to expect from Nick when he speaks, but it wasn't quite enough, I guess, if I had to go back and make sure that it was there.
I mean,
it doesn't feel like things are changed. Does it feel like it really matters to him? Like, I feel like he got in trouble. I feel like he is being reprimanded, like his feet were held to the fire. Listen, you got to go do this, from the organization. Like it doesn't feel like, if I'm a player, that I respect that quite the same way I would other coaches and their setups.
So there's a lot to this, obviously. And again, you can weigh in 215-592-9494. Here's my answer to the question. All right, how do we feel? How do I feel about the apology? Here's my answer. I think it was nice, but very incomplete. Nice, but very incomplete.
So what is that?
First off, he didn't specify anything. I don't actually know what he apologized for. Let's just start with that. Like, it sounds like he's apologizing for that sequence with the fan or fans near the very end of the game when they're in victory formation. But, like, what did you do?
No, what he said was he's sorry on how my energy was directed at the end of the game.
Yeah, so we don't even quite... So
I have to have better wisdom and discernment.
Right, all right. So number one, I don't really know quite exactly what he apologized for. So that's part of when I say nice.
He apologized for the way he directed his energy.
Yeah,
Joe.
That's when I say nice but very incomplete. That's why very incomplete. Like, I don't even know quite what he's apologizing for. That's number one. Number two, we don't know what he said. Number three, there's no reference at all to the kids at the podium, which I thought was a massive part of the Sunday night, Monday morning, Monday afternoon reaction all around town. Like, what in the world is going on here? I mean, it's just not appropriate to have the kids at the podium. Let's be real. A lot of people over the last 2 years looked the other way 37 different times, and I'm making up a number, but you get my point. It had happened a lot. Generally speaking, after wins, that's not that big a deal, but it's inappropriate. And in this case, they had just beaten the Cleveland Browns. It wasn't like 2 years ago when they beat San Fran to go to the Super Bowl, okay? They just beat the Cleveland Browns. They were one of the worst teams in all sports. They beat them by 4 points, and it felt to me like he was strutting.
It was defiant. Yeah.
So the way I feel about what he said yesterday, again, nice, ... but very incomplete. I mean, we got nothing at all about the, I thought, outrageous answer in the press conference of the slow starts. We got this. Like,
you guys have to do your job, and you got to fixate on things. I get it. Don't worry about it.
Right. And
that's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
To me.
And that goes to the media, but it's also by way to the fans. The fans are thinking the same thing. And guys, this isn't a 2 to 3 week problem. They never get off to a fast start. They haven't played a complete football game since the early portion of last year. I mean, think about that. So it's like, you want to say, like, and look, we'll talk to Nick at 8:40 today. It's like, how can you say we got it when you don't? Right? How can you say we got it when you don't? So my thoughts on the apology, it's nice, but it's far from complete. It's very incomplete. Now,
was it enough for anyone in that building? Like, whoever told him he had to apologize.
That's a great question.
Did they feel like that was good? Great, Nick. That John, really set the record straight, and everyone knows now.
You would have to ask that to Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie.
It doesn't feel like it's like there's a level of satisfaction or greater understanding, or like the team is more locked in now. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. So all right. So the whole apology thing, totally on the table for you, 215-592-9494. Now, let's get to the team. So how do you feel about the team? I mean, my simple answer is not good. I think they're an average football team. I think when this thing nets out record-wise, the record may be slightly above average. The record may be slightly below average. If you count 8-9 or 9-8 as average, and essentially there is no average anymore in pro football in 17 games record-wise, unless you go 8-1, which, okay, come on. So bottom line is I think they're in the average range. I don't think they're a good team. I actually think they're closer to a bad team than a good team, but I think they really probably just net out as an average team. I mean, they've got incredible players in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith who do wonderful things for them. The playmakers on defense are not making enough plays, although the team played a really good defensive game the other day, but you take it with a grain of salt against a horrendous Browns
bottom
offense.
Dweller.
Just horrendous.
Offense.
So,
look, our schedule now, the next several games.
They got a shot to win games.
Of course.
But here's the other
a very
thing.
good chance to win 3 more.
No, I get it.
Bang.
But I want to add this in also, because this sort of goes to how good the team is, but it kind of goes to something John referenced when he talked about watching Monday Night Football last night and then bringing it back to the Eagles. I got to tell you guys, and there aren't more than 3 or 4 years of my life I've said this. The Eagles games are boring.
Oh my God, that's
Right?
John. I was thinking that watching last night's game. That was an exciting. Like I saw into the third quarter.
Yeah.
The play that Josh Allen made running into the end zone out and then hitting a guy on a. For it, I watch a lot of Red Zone on Sunday,
Yep.
and I just watch teams that look fun.
Yeah, I
games
mean,
that look fun.
Really, the Eagles are, in a word, now off the field, I guess you can't say it's boring because there's a hell of a lot happening. But real watching the game for 3 hours.
See,
I'd rather watch Mama's Family for 3 hours, and I hated that
Mama's
show.
Family was good.
Yeah, it's
I
fun.
hated that
Mama's
show.
Family was way underrated. You really,
I
you got to
hate
give
it.
Mama's Family a chance.
I hated that show. But the point is,
It's
and
what
look,
Nick failed to realize on Sunday. We watched you watched at home. We watched in the stadium for 3+ hours. It was a chore.
well, and it's part of why his apology yesterday was incomplete.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, dude, like,
Read the room.
read the room, read the city, take the full inventory of what's going on.
Read the room. I mean, that's so crazy. It's so crazy to suggest that he can read the room.
Well, that's part of the job.
After what we saw on Sunday.
Well, look,
after the way he felt, he so self-satisfied after beating that Browns team
Right.
by 4 points.
Right. No,
It
exactly.
was tied with 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter against a Browns team that had no right being on the same field, personnel-wise, roster-wise, compared to our Eagles.
And self-satisfied is a bad thing. It's something the Sixers have had for a number of years. Joel has had. Like, go do something before you strut. So, all right, all of it. 215-592-9494. How do you feel about the apology? What do you think about our football team? Where do you stand on both fronts? We'll get into various aspects on both. We'll touch on the other teams as well. Joe DeCamera and John Ritchie. It's 94 WIP.